Hey folks, I want to give you a heads up. Could be quite important. You know that I've been harping for a long time on the dangers of having too much exposure to the banks, and that we've developed a system to create kind of an alternative banking system with alternative assets. A few things happened this week that have some bells going off and alarms going off in my head. We do not very much business, not very much volume, not very many transactions, but I'm noticing some things that just happened this week that are causing some concern. Number one, we had a client try to wire some funds out of a credit union, and the funds were in the six-digit range. Bottom line, she wasn't able to get her funds out. She went the first time, and the credit union people said, well, we don't want you to get sucked into a scam. We want to protect you. We're not going to send this out. You need to bring us some paperwork to show us what you're doing so that we can feel comfortable that you're doing the right thing. So she came with some minimal paperwork, which she was trained to do, and they found all kinds of fault with that. Well, this isn't enough. We need, this doesn't give us enough information to see this, that, and the other. All right, and we know very well what the banking requirements are, and documents have been created specifically for this purpose, to answer those questions. Well, that wasn't sufficient, so they sent her back. They said, no, we're not going to send this wire out for you. Then, again, she came back a second time with more documentation, and actually it was too much information. And even though the first set of documents satisfied all of the concerns and so-called requirements that they put on this particular transaction, now they came up with more excuses to deny sending the wire transaction. All right, so all under the guise that, oh, we want to protect you, and we want to make sure that everything is correct. All under this guise of protection, they denied sending the wire transaction, the wire transfer out, after 3 visits to the credit union. Unbelievable. The question is, well, first of all, when did I appoint you as a business consultant to make business decisions for me? Number 2, when did I ever pay you to protect me? That's not your job. All right, and we could go right on down the list. That's example number 1. In the end, they wouldn't send her transfer out. Another client trying to send funds from a foreign bank, and supposedly the funds were sent, but they never arrived. After waiting, checking, nothing arriving, they checked with the sender of the wire transfer, supposedly a professional services company. And lo and behold, they did not follow the proper wire transfer instructions, which were spelled out black and white, plain as day. They put in a corresponding bank which was incorrect, which was not the corresponding bank that they were given. So a second attempt was made, and they pulled the same shenanigans a second time, putting in an incorrect corresponding bank, which was not the one that was given to them in the instructions. Now, maybe once you could chalk it up to a mistake, but twice? These are professional people that do transfers on a regular basis, and it's just not plausible. All right? They're pulling these tricks to deny the client their funds. They're wanting to sit on those funds, or they've got a cash liquidity problem and they can't afford to have those funds go off the books. All right, now here's situation number 3. A bank that we deal with on a regular basis, with no notice, send a message, "Oh, we're sorry, but we're suspending bank wire transfer services temporarily because the intermediary bank that we were using, we are no longer using." All right? Now, the question is, well, who made that decision? Did the bank make that decision, or did the corresponding bank make the decision not to do business with this bank anymore? Perhaps they know something about the bank's books that gives them pause for continuing to do business for fear of getting involved in a mess. Now, these could be three simple one-off situations, all right? They could be coincidences. I'm putting this out there because all this happened within this week. And with our low volume of activity, it's not very much. This was all that we experienced this week. So the question is this going on elsewhere? Is anybody else seeing the same thing going on with their banks? If it is, I would suggest that we're at the precipice of a banking crisis, which has been talked about for a long time now. And these banks are having a serious liquidity problem. And what little cash they have on the books, they're not willing to let it go. So I could go on and on about this, but I'll try and keep this short. Mainly, the point is that I've been saying for the last 2 years, get out of the banks. If you've got exposure to the banks with deposits, CDs, instruments, they're holding assets of one kind or another, I would suggest give some serious thought about reducing your exposure to that. All right, and as it relates to the Lighthouse Law Club, Monaco Management Group, we've been working hard for the last several years putting together an alternative to dealing with some of these shysters. So hey, folks, that's a heads up. I hope it helps you. I hope you can stay safe and keep your eye on your money.